Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you all hear me and see me? Perfect. Thank you so much for logging in. We already have 17 people on the call, which is great. And I hope, there's some last minute comments as well. So I am Nadia. I work for Peabody, and today I will be emceeing the session because Ian is away. We also have my manager, Evelina, who will give us an introduction to Peabody and the work that we do at the foundation. And then we'll dive right into the session, which is about the digital entertainment sector today. So we've got 3 fantastic guest speakers. So thanks again to Nishan, to Dean, and to Brandon for giving up their time and being here with us today. So we'll have 10 minutes to present, and then we'll have whatever remaining time we've got left, it will be dedicated to any questions that you guys in the audience may have for our guest speakers. Brandon, who is our second guest speaker, actually needs to leave the call after his presentation. So once Brandon presents, if anyone has any questions specifically for him and about what he has presented, please, feel free to raise your hand and ask them directly, or drop them in the chat if you don't want to, unmute yourself and ask the question directly. So that's it. I'm going to pass it over to Evelina to give us the intro. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadia. Great introduction. So thank you everyone for being here today. So I'm Evelina and I'm Skills Network Lead at Peabody. So for those of you who don't know, Peabody is one of the largest housing associations in the UK and the largest in London. So as part of what Peabody does is we're not only a housing provider, but we also have our Peabody Community Foundation, which is the charitable arm of Peabody. As part of the Peabody Community Foundation, we have our team, which is called Economic Inclusion, and we support residents as well as people from the local communities to get jobs, up skills, get a better job, or move closer to the jobs market, as well as we support businesses who are just starting or businesses that want to grow what they're currently doing. We're also supporting our residents with childcare. We train them being childminders, or teaching assistants, and other skills that are very relevant to them. And we also have a list with different employers that we very closely work with, and they're helping us get jobs and apprenticeships for our residents and people from the communities. So what we're trying to do is, our vision, part of the Peabody Community Foundation, is to support people and help people live healthier, happier, and wealthier lives. And obviously, as part of what we do is we have all this one-to-one employment support. We have all of these opportunities that are coming up. And these hot topic sessions are our way of, as well as to give relevant information to the people that are interested in some of the growth sectors. So today, our 12th session for this year, when I say this year, I mean this financial year, we're going to be focusing on digital entertainment, and I hope you enjoy our guest speakers, which are absolutely amazing, and they have a lot of things that they can share with you, and hopefully you get a better understanding of what's happening in the sector, as well as what opportunities are available out there. So if at any point you want to contact us at Peabody directly, please drop your emails or anything else in the chat box, and Nadia and I will come back to you, and we'll also send you information as well as like some summary of the opportunities that are available through the speakers today. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the session.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Evelina. So let's pass it over to our first guest speaker, who I said it's Nishan from Big Creative Education. So Nishan, I'll pass it over to you. And if you can please share your screen and let me know if you're struggling.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all well. It's
Afternoon.
4 o'clock, so I've had my fair dose of coffee and I'm still sparkling bright, just about. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Hopefully it all works. If you could just give me a... Oh, wrong screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Hopefully it's not the one with my messy desktop. It's the one with Introduction to Big Creative Education. Yep.
Yes, that's the right one. Yeah.
Perfect. Great. So my name is Nisha. I'm the head of adult education and employability programs at Big Creative. I've been asked kindly to speak today about digital entertainment and some of the opportunities we have with just the industry as a whole. So For those of you who aren't familiar with the digital entertainment industry, it's ever becoming part of our lives. And it's one of the industries that we use every single day, but I don't think we consciously pay attention to how much we use it. So digital entertainment can be anything from using your smartphone, your tablet, streaming services, gaming consoles, computers, and many more sort of technological devices. It's one of the fastest growing sectors. We're seeing more and more employers looking for talent in this area. Things such as we look at VFX, so visual effects, animation, we've got film and TV production, some of the sort of special effects that goes into that. We've got video game development, VR, gaming, and sort of esports is becoming a big thing. It's taken over. It's consumed as people's lives, but what people haven't yet seen is the great career opportunities that are in the digital entertainment industry. So I think that's kind of what me and some of the other guests are going to probably hopefully inspire you and give you some more information on these sectors. And like I said, it's not just for us. This is something that's going to be there for the future. For young people who are now currently at school, there's predictions that there are jobs that are out there right now, which we don't have skills for, but in the coming years, there are going to be jobs in this industry that do not exist today. And it's all about finding the right market, the right training, and the right skills and knowledge to really position yourself in the market where you can succeed in the digital entertainment industry. Now, if I haven't done it justice, it is one of the biggest things to sort of, and most difficult things for me to define. I'm sure the other guests on the call will give their experience, because digital entertainment has very many definitions and meanings to different individuals, but that's just my take on this. Right, so getting into big creative education. I myself oversee the adult education piece, and I've recently started to look at our apprenticeships, but big creative has been in the industry for now over 20 years. Our main mission has been to support highly motivated, diverse talent to access creative and digital industries. We work with people from marginalized backgrounds. We work for, and try to represent those who maybe don't have the fortunes of having parents who know people in the industry or having connections in the industry. Our aim is to link people with talent and purely based on that talent to industry and help them succeed. Now, the way we do that across various provisions that we have. And here is a brief summary of our offer. So we offer something for people as young as 16 to 18, 19 plus. We have a traineeship program, which also supports 16 to 18. And then we have our apprenticeships, which go anything 16 plus. All of our opportunities are targeted at creative industries. So we work with film and TV, we work in music, we do games design, we do animation. We're just about to launch our brand new multimedia campus, which is going to be equipped with the highest sort of spec equipment. It's going to have an e-games platform. It's going to have a whole sort of competitive edge to it. And this is our village and aspiration. Now, I'm hoping this video is going to play. So I'm going to quickly click and you can kind of get a vision into how big esports, digital entertainment and gaming is becoming in the industry. Please work. So this here would be our esports arena, where students will compete against people all across the globe, not just in London. I don't know why we put this in, but this is the staff canteen and staff play area, but we're going to have purpose-built film studios, which will have green screens, so we can do things like animation, VFX, rotoscoping. We're going to have music sessions. And general training, because about getting into the creative industry, it's not just about having high-tech fancy equipment. It's also about being able to advise and guide and train people. So that's our real ambition. Now, I'm always going to struggle to get back to my presentation. Oh, there we go. So here you go. For our 16 to 18 learners, we offer a wide range of courses from level 1 all the way through to level 3 in things such as games design, media, film, TV. This is really for 16 to 18, but if you have an educational healthcare plan, this can go up to 24. We have our adult learning, which is really new and something that I've headed up and introduced to the organization. We never used to have this, but we now offer short courses. So this is for people who maybe don't want to commit to year-long courses, maybe want to try a short little piece of training and then build on that from a career. So we have things like 2D animation, coding, web design, podcasting, photography, lots of different courses. And this will obviously be shared with you, if you'd like any further information. It's all about helping adults who are 19 plus in London access creative industry courses for free of charge and give them that insight into the industry. It's all about upskilling and then supporting that transition into employment. So everybody who does a course with us on our adult provision, if you are eligible for our apprenticeships, you'll be referred across. But equally, we have a team of employment support advisors and work coaches who will also support you thereafter to get onto a creative job, whether that be an internship, work experience, or entry-level role. Our apprenticeships, we work with some really big companies, so ITV, ITN, Universal Music. We've just taken on Red Bull as one of our clients, and that is doing really well at the moment. But we also work with smaller companies because big companies isn't for everybody. And especially when you're starting in the industry, one of the best ways to learn is to work with a small industry organization and build yourself up. So we offer apprenticeships in junior content production. So that's your sort of film, TV, social media, content creation, events. So planning events across music and the film and TV, digital marketing that really goes across all industries, music assistant, which is working for music labels and music records, 2D visual artist, which has become one of our most recent ones. And we've just released a marketing assistant, and that's working in marketing and music specifically, because we're seeing a huge growth in music marketing, particularly streaming music. So if we look at things like Spotify, Amazon Music, these are some of the employers that are now starting to employ people on apprenticeships. If you are of the 16 to 18, you can access traineeships. Traineeships are a combination of work experience, employability training, and then end goal is to help you either progress onto an apprenticeship or into employment. Here you can also upskill in your maths and English. That's something that's been a barrier. And if you ever wanted to sort of refer into yourself or get in contact with people who head up certain departments, I have sort of all the referral things, which this will be shared with you at the end. And here are just some of our April adult courses, which are completely free of charge and accessible to yourself in digital marketing, graphic design, content creation, social media. That's one of our most popular courses, as you can imagine, and creative media production. So creative media production is learning how to make short films. Content creation for social media is social media management. Graphic design is exactly what it says on the tin, and likewise, digital marketing. I won't take any questions because I believe there's a question and answer point at the end, and hopefully I haven't gone over my time slot. But I hope all that information, I appreciate it's a lot of information, but I hope that was useful. It gives you a bit of an insight into what training is available that's free of cost, how you can access it, and hopefully you found that useful.
Thank you, Nishan. That was definitely useful. Absolutely. And I love the video tour that you gave us as well. Amazing to see some questions already in the chat. As Nishan has just said, we will have a dedicated space towards the end for any questions for Nishan. So thank you once again, Nishan, and we'll pass it over to our second guest speaker, who's Brendan from Into Games. So Brendan needs to leave after his 10 minutes. So if you have any question, guys, for Brendan, yes, you will have a chance to ask them directly to him as soon as he's finished with his presentation. And so, yeah, over to you, Brendan, and nice to see you.
Typical. Hi, yeah, hey everyone, and thanks for having me, guys. And yeah, I need to jump afterwards, but I'll leave my email address in the chat if anyone does want to get in touch, or feel free to field all the questions in the chat and send them to me afterwards, and I'll get back to everyone as best I can. Hopefully, there's some useful stuff in here for you guys, as Nishan already brilliantly kind of introduced. Digital entertainment in the UK is huge. I hopefully we'll be able to expand on that a little bit more from a games perspective. If you didn't know already, I work at Into Games. I'm the head of partnerships and development there, and essentially we exist to make a career in the games industry possible, irrespective of your background, where you're from, who you are, what you've done, what you want to do. We exist to really make it possible for anyone with the passion to succeed to start their career in the games industry. So hopefully that's resonating with some of you who might be a little bit curious about what it's like to work in games and how you might do the same. So why the games industry? Well, there's a few different reasons why you should want to work in games. First one being, the huge diversity of kind of studios and organizations out there. Sure, any one of you in here right now may not consider yourself a gamer, but have probably played video games in the past, maybe play them now, or maybe don't even realize that you're playing games in some way. They're huge. The games industry is actually bigger than the film and music and television industries in the UK combined. So it's not only a interesting and diverse and interactive industry, but it's also a huge one too. So you may be thinking, well, I've heard some myths about the games industry before, some things that have maybe kind of put me off and made me think maybe the industry is not for me. That's true, there are a few things out there. So for example, it's a really highly skilled and competitive industry. It's tough to get in, guys, but we're here to help. There's also very few junior roles. Of around the 22,000 people who work in the games industry, only around 700 each year are actually filled by people in junior or entry level positions. And on top of that, you need to specialize quickly. So you need to have a pretty good idea of what it is that you want to do. So highly recommend listening in, and if you're curious, to learn a little bit more about what's out there. But great things about the games industry, it's a huge sector. There's over 150 different roles and disciplines in the games industry, from marketing to community management to production to programming, design, art, engineering, operations, you name it. If it exists in the creative industries, it exists in games, as well as tons of other roles that exist nowhere else. So that doesn't matter if you're somebody who's a social media whiz, or somebody who likes computer science, or somebody who's who loves art at school, or does graphic design. There's a place for you in the games industry. The games industry needs lawyers, it needs accountants, it needs producers and IT technicians the same way that any other industry does. So there's lots out there, lots of different opportunities. As well as that, it's pretty good money. It's above average starting salary for the creative industries by and large, and great for junior staff. As well as that, they're really great at supporting their staff too. So because it's such a competitive industry, that means once you're there, you're treated pretty well and supported really well too. So there's lots of really great initiatives and benefits out there for people who are starting their career in games to make sure that you feel supported whilst you work there. And also, yes, there are some downsides, but we're here to help. We exist purely to make it easier to find a career in the games industry. So if you're interested in any way, please do listen up. So the first thing I would recommend is check out our website, intogames.org. It's a free resource for anyone to learn more about what jobs are available in the games industry and the sort of things you might need to study or do or work at to kind of build your career in the games industry. It's got interviews from people who work across every role in games. It's got pathways so that you can understand what you need to do and what you need to learn to get into games, as well as loads of articles, free resources, a tools library of things you can use to make games. Anything you could possibly want to know about starting your career in games, check out the intogames.org website. The second thing is share your skills wherever you can. If you're interested in getting a job in the games industry, one of the best things that you can do is just shout about it. If you're an artist, put your work up online. If you're a designer, put your games up on itch.io. If you're a writer, put your writing on a blog or a portfolio. Share it wherever you can. Share your regular work, show that you're improving, look for different platforms that are out there that you can share, and share your journey. Nobody started off being an incredible artist or an incredible writer. Everybody took a learning journey from that blank page, and people want to see that you've learned that journey, and it's a great way for you to be able to see your own progress as well. So I'm going to talk through a couple of little tips. You may be thinking, well, I don't know if the games industry is for me, or maybe I don't have the skills to work in the games industry. I can tell you that's not true. And no matter what industry you work in now, no matter what job you do or what you're studying or what it is that you do in your personal life, there are lots of great transferable skills that you don't learn on a games university course or something like that. That will help you to get a job in the games industry. All of these things you will have heard of before, and they're brilliant soft skills and things that you can do now to help give you a better chance of getting into the games industry, or that you can practice now. So the first one, one of the things that the games industry loves is people that can work in a team. So I highly recommend any opportunity to collaborate with other people, to work on team projects. And one of the best ways to do that is something called a game jam. So you can join these online or in person. I know that Peabody actually do some hackathons, which are really similar things, and they're great opportunities for you guys to work together as a team, to collaborate on projects, and to basically make a game in a short space of time, set to a brief by a studio or a charity or another organization. And it's one of the things that the games industry love. I'm sure that anyone here who's perhaps in school at the moment, or has left education, or is working at the moment, that you've got plenty of opportunities to work and collaborate as a team. And if you can prove and show that you've done that, no matter what industry it's in, you've got a real fighting chance and a really great kind of piece of work that you can show to people if you go to apply for a job in the games industry. So tip number one is take any opportunity that you can to work in a team and to learn from others. The next one is studios love people that are social and have other interests. Everybody, it's great if you want to work in the games industry and you love games and playing games. But one of the things that the industry loves to see more than that is people who have lots of wider interests and that shout about those as well. So, studying a games university course, for example, or doing a course online, or playing lots of video games is great, and you should definitely do that. But one of the things that studios really want to see is, what else do you like? What else do you do in your free time? How else do you build your skills? How else do you kind of work with others or collaborate? And where can I find that online? Where can I find out more about you? So kind of looking at the other things that you enjoy, whether it's reading or writing or cycling or any of your other interests, excel at those and nurture those, because they're a great way to bring those things into your creative practice or your working life in another way. And one of the things that people really want to see at studios. And a couple of ways that you can do that, as I said, studios can be fussy with who they hire, because it's a competitive industry. They want to see people who go, wow, we love this person, we want to work with them. And those are people who have interesting things to say, who are interested in what the studio has to say. So let those things shine through, whether it's, anything outside of games that you may do, watching films, writing, going to the ballet, going to the theatre, whatever it is that you like to do. Those are important aspects and parts of your personality. And if you're in a creative role, they're absolutely going to be a great piece of inspiration for you going forward into whatever career you want to do. If you're a writer, I would highly recommend you read plays, or you read, corporate copy on a website, that you read poetry, because all of these things will help drive your creative practice in some way, more so than just playing video game, for example. So be proud of your hobbies and interests, showcase them, share them, nurture them. And when you talk to employers, tell them about them, tell them what you're interested in, because they want to see people who, are interesting people. The next one is studios love people who network effectively. So they love to see people going to events just like this one, as well as lots of other opportunities for you to be able to meet professionals, to learn skills, to ask questions. It will pay you guys dividends if you're interested, whatever industry that you want to work in. If you go to an event and you ask a question at a Q&A, and then when you go to apply for a job at that same organization, it's the other person on the other side of the table is the person that you asked the question to. Already you're at the top of the list for that employer to think about hiring, because they know you, they noticed you, and they know that you're curious and interested and that you're asking interesting questions. Networking is an amazing way to get yourself out there, irrespective of what skills you have. And one of the things that people often say is kind of, I need to get good before I network. Don't worry about that. Just get out there and show yourself. Get out there, let people know who you are, tell them that you're passionate, tell them that you're interested. It's a great way to meet like-minded people who could be future collaborators or teammates or even friends, as well as potentially meet future employers as well. Let them know that you're curious, let them know that you're interested. And this is a really difficult soft skill to learn, to be able to network and communicate effectively with people, especially at larger events, but it's one that will pay off massively when you go on to that future job, whatever industry it might be in. So studios love people who network effectively. The next one is studios like people that are always learning and skill building. I cannot stress this one enough. There is no one who works in the UK games industry or in the digital entertainment industry at all who are not constantly learning and reiterating and evolving their skills in some way. The games industry especially relies on people to constantly be on the cutting edge of technology and innovation. If you don't constantly relearn your skills and try out new things and experiment, you'll fall behind. Also, it's just a great way to brush up on your skills and experiment and try new areas. You may end up finding something amazing that you didn't know that you could do, or that you fell in love with, that you wouldn't have done otherwise if you hadn't have tried out something new. So, as I said, studios love people that are always learning and skill building, and take any opportunity that you can to get out there and test your skills in new and interesting ways. One of the great ways that you can do that is the Into Games Discord. If you guys haven't used Discord before, it's a community platform that essentially allows people with like-minded interests and passions to work together, collaborate, communicate, talk to each other and build their skills. And on there we run regular weekly live panels where you can speak directly to industry professionals and brush up your skills and ask them questions. Remember the networking point that I mentioned earlier, as well as Q&As with industry, and as I go on to my next slide, lots of opportunities to learn and skill build. So things like weekly design challenges where you can make pieces of work based on briefs set by major studios or by industry, and then get feedback on that work the following week. So if you're interested in being an artist, for example, all you have to do is do a piece of art every 2 weeks based on the brief set by the studio, and the following week you'll get to talk to a person working as an artist in the UK games industry who can give you feedback on your work and tell you how you can improve your skills. It's a super easy way to very quickly learn and build your skills. As well as that, we have discipline-specific channels on there, all with different events and things happening depending on what your interests are. So whether you're an audio designer, a journalist, a lawyer, a technical artist, a programmer, a narrative designer, or a producer, there's somewhere and there's a space for everyone on there. So I highly recommend, and you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, the link there to join is intogames.org/discord. All of this, by the way, is completely free, as is everything that we do. So don't worry about having to pay for anything that you click on. Intogames.org Discord community is completely free to access for everyone. So to recap what on there, here's some of the things that studios love to see. All of these things are transferable skills that you probably will be doing and things that you will be learning already. So whether you want to work in the games industry, whether you want to work in the film and television or production industry, whether or not you want to work in the market, for a marketing agency, it doesn't really matter. All of these things are things that the creative industries love to see, especially the UK games industry. So to recap, studios love people that share their skills. Build your portfolio out, network, volunteer on projects, share your skills with other people. Learn something new, why don't you write a guide on how you did that? Made a failure along the way, write a blog post about how things went wrong and how you're going to improve it for next time. Share your skills, let yourself be known, and get yourself out there. The second one, studios love people that work well in a team. This is super important for every industry. So any opportunity that you have to build out your skills in clearly communicating with people, to be able to manage conflict, to be able to share ideas, and to give and receive feedback constructively. All of these things are really important and absolutely necessary for whatever industry that you go in. You have to be able to be nice to people, ultimately. You have to be able to be kind. Third one is studios love people that are social and have wider interests. Get yourself out there, network with people, find new things that you enjoy, be passionate about those things, nurture those skills and hobbies, and use those as the fire to fuel whatever it is you want to do as a future career or job. And then finally, studios love people that are eager to learn and build their skills. Take any opportunity that you can to learn new things. Take any opportunity that you can to do a short course or to watch a YouTube guide and try and flex those skills in some way, to join a new project that's experimenting with a skill you hadn't learned before. All of these things are just great ways to just keep your skills brushed up and to keep yourself kind of interested and passionate about the things that you're doing. These are games industry specific, the examples that I've given, but as I said, this applies to any creative industries or to any industry that you want to get into ultimately. Hopefully some of that was useful to you guys. If you want to learn more, please do go to the Intergames Discord. It's a really big community of over 6,000 people, all who just want to learn more about what they can do to kind of get an edge in their career towards the games industry. It's full of artists, designers, lovely people, marketers, community managers, both career seekers and those already working in the industry. And we run free panels on there every single week with industry professionals talking about how to get into games programming or how to get into games journalism, as well as lots of other free events where you can find out about real world games job opportunities as well. A lot of those for people who are just starting out in their careers too. So if there's any questions at all, please do let me know and just add them into the chat. If not, feel free to email me. I've just put my email in there. But I would say, to be honest, guys, the Intergames Discord is the best place. But that's all from me, guys. A huge thank you, and yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brendan. Brendan, there was a question that came through the chat. Do you need to leave? And so shall we ask this person to email you directly, or are you able to maybe answer just one question and then leave?
Oh yeah, I can. You got me for a few more minutes, so yeah, I can answer a question, no problem.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Lauren, do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question directly, or do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I can. So my question is, what's the best way to get the message about the gaming industry to the right people? Because I know I have a younger brother who would sort of love this sort of thing, but how do you kind of bridge that gap between like people who need the jobs and the people who kind of have all the skills?
So I'm not really sure kind of what your question was, sorry. So how do we kind of like inspire people that didn't know that games as a career was for them? Or
yeah, so as with your organization, how would you say the best way is to get the right people hearing the right message about the gaming industry? Because it sounds so powerful, and I think more people need to know about it. And I was just wondering if you had any ideas about how you go about doing that. And it's okay if you don't know, it's a big question.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, just find out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I think the UK games industry definitely does have a problem with representation. There are nowhere near enough women in it, and there are nowhere near enough those from minority ethnicity groups or working class backgrounds. So it's a problem we're really aware of, and that it's the reason why we exist, to support those who perhaps wouldn't know it was a career path for them. I think one of the main ways to do that is to let people know that they don't have to be a gamer. They don't have to be somebody who loves video games. I know so many artists who work in the games industry who don't play video games at all. They just love art, and it gives them a great way to work on lots of dynamic and interesting projects. I know, legal professionals who work in the games industry who love working in games because it's a brilliant collaborative industry, but couldn't care less about playing the next FIFA or Call of Duty. So I think just making it clear to people that you don't have to be a massive gamer to work in the games industry is a huge way to go. As well as that, making people realize that it's hugely collaborative and that there's over 150 different roles out there. It doesn't matter whether you know how to code or how to draw. There's a role out there for you, and our Intergames kind of website is hoping to demystify that a little bit to make people realize that you don't have to code to work in the games industry. And then as well as that, just giving people practical, easy ways to learn how to make games. Free tools, free guides, YouTube walkthroughs, videos. Making games on the surface seems like something that's really difficult, but with the right tools and the right support, you can start making things very quickly. Again, there's loads of resources and articles and things on the website to help people get game making quickly. And then ultimately, lots of long-term things. We need to get more young women in schools being able to program and code and being excited about, what they could do with computer science as a future career. And, we need more representative role models from, South Asian backgrounds or those from other minority ethnicity groups to be able to see themselves represented in the games industry. There are so few South Asian women in the UK games industry, and we need to highlight those people in those roles to make them feel more known, and so that young South Asian women who are thinking about what to do as a future career can aspire to be like those people. But those aren't things that we can do straight away. So in the practical, make game making easier for people, let them know they don't have to be a gamer, and show them the diversity of roles that are out there. Hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you. That was so helpful. So helpful. I learned so much like just from that. So yeah, really appreciate that.
No problem at all.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lauren, for the question, and thank you, Brendan. No worries. Thank you so much, Brendan, for your contribution today. We will send an email to everyone that is here today with Brendan's presentation and his contact details. So if you want to ask him anything further, you can contact him directly. And I think Lara that raised her hand. I think she wanted to make a point, actually, not a question. Lara, do you want to unmute yourself and make that comment with everyone before we pass it over to
yes. Hi everyone. I am an ex-teacher in a secondary school, an A-level, and if I understood well the previous question, it was a bit about how to reach to everyone, especially naturally young people, that this is a new career for them with plenty of possibilities. Not that many people could be very talented in this, but doesn't know. And as I said, as an ex-teacher I am, I think one great way to do it is to go to schools. And in my opinion, teachers care a lot about, from my experience, about the pupils, and really they would be very open to let these things know, even starting with a short video presentation. You know, they can put it on assemblies, at form time, etc. But definitely, I think schools is a great place to go. And considering that technology is something that with young people, I don't know, is very strong with young people. I think that many boys and girls also, why not, would feel very drawn to it, that perhaps they are less academic in other ways, you know, but they would feel very drawn. And it was just an idea. I think this is a way to do it. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Lara. No, we completely agree. And, you know, one comment that actually a colleague made about our hot topic session is sometimes the timing is not great for people in school. So we understand that. And what we want to do with specifically with this session, because as you said, it's such a topic that is, you know, popular amongst young people. We definitely want to share the recording of today's session, the presentations with our colleagues that work directly with young people, with schools, with parents. So we'll make sure that the message is out there and it arrives to young people. And speaking of young people, education in schools, this is the best way to introduce our last speaker of today. I love his story. So Dean, over to you to tell us more about your journey into this industry.
Excellent, thank you, Nadia. Apologies first of all if my connection's not very good. I'm currently away on holiday and on like a free Wi-Fi, but hopefully it does the job. So we'll see. So my name's Dean Day. I actually currently live very local to Peabody and their job. I'm in Erith on the Arnton Way. I pretty much lived there my whole life. I'm in the process of moving away at the moment, but it's where I grew up. And you know, the kind of the estate, I guess you call it. My mum and dad are still there. So what I wanted to put across from a slightly different angle was, you know, the games industry is a huge and impressive and a really cool thing to be part of and to take part in creating games and stuff like that. But it definitely is accessible by everyone. Me myself, so I currently am CEO of Greenlight Games, which is a UK-based games publisher, which basically means we release games, market games. So we have quite a few games on the Nintendo Switch. It's very popular platform at the moment. And some of our games, for example, you can actually go in Argos and you can buy those straight off the shelf. And then outside of that, I actually have two other businesses. One is called Black Smoke Studios, which is another games business, but it's a developer. So they specifically create games, and we currently do a lot of contract work for other companies where we build games, mobile games and stuff for other people. And internally, we're slowly developing our own games as well. So projects we want to create. And that's based out in, weirdly enough, I'll expand on that a bit more why later, but that's based in Finland, in a small town called Kajaani, and myself and 3 other founders manage and run that company. All 3 of those are Finnish and based in Finland, and I'm sitting here in my office in the UK, and every month or so I'll get to take a trip to Finland and see the team out there. That's really nice. And then my other company is a much smaller company. It's called Eltham Escape Rooms. So it's an escape room company based in Eltham, which is quite local still. And that was built out of my love for games. And an escape room is basically, I don't know if anyone's ever seen like Crystal Maze or Fort Boyard, some really old challenging games. They're basically physical experiences or rooms that you go into that are themed, and you have a load of challenges, which are basically a load of games, like puzzles and riddles and stuff for you to complete, so that you can get to the end of the room or escape the room, whatever the objective is. So how all of that came about basically was that when I was at school, when I was at primary school and secondary school, I really struggled. I didn't really feel that you know, what I was being taught really challenged me. I didn't have any interest in most of it, and I was not a great kid at school. So I didn't pass my SATs at primary school. I didn't pass a single GCSE in secondary school. One of those was actually IT, computing. Like at the time, I already loved computers. I'd already taught myself how to build websites. Weirdly enough, I taught that to myself during my business lessons, because I had no interest in business at the time. So I taught myself how to make websites in business, GCSE business, and then I dropped GCSE IT because I didn't enjoy it, because I was being taught how to use Excel spreadsheets and how to, you know, do word art in Word, and it was irrelevant to me. And I wanted to get really deep within computing. I wanted to know how to take a machine apart, what all the components were for. And back then, you know, YouTube wasn't a thing, so I couldn't just Google it and find out. And luckily, my dad, he was very much a DIY kind of person. So if something broke, we couldn't afford to buy a new one, we fix it. And it's exactly what we did. He brought a cheap computer. It was broke. We took it apart, worked out how they worked, and eventually we were fixing them and building ourselves. So it was all, you know, stuff that was self-taught. And then from that, obviously, I had a love of games, gaming on the first editions Nintendo 64, and then first edition Xbox and PlayStations. You know, it was very basic back then. And from that, we got what's called modding. So the PC gaming community grew a little bit. And then games back then, you can do it a bit more bit now, but most games don't allow you to do it. But you could mod games, which basically meant that you could, you know, change characters or create your own levels and stuff. Basically, kind of the tools that like Roblox or Minecraft gives people these days. It's now referred to as sandboxing. But that's where I started to learn how games worked and how to make games. And from there, you know, whilst this was happening, I went to college to do computing, and I dropped that as well. A year into computing, and I was really struggling to find my footing. You know, I probably had every job under the sun. Like I'd worked in a garage, like with my hands, I was working on vehicles. I'd worked in sales, I'd worked in warehouses, worked in the cine world, you know, doing popcorn and everything. And I just couldn't find my feet. And eventually, I actually went for an interview at the University of Greenwich to do a degree in computing. And I thought, like, you know, I'll take it seriously. I'll go get my degree in computing so I can step into the games industry and do something there. So this was a bachelor's degree that was supposed to be 3 years long. And I got 2 years into it. And by then I was sick of it, because it was still not challenging enough and teaching me stuff I'd already learned myself. And now YouTube was around, I was really kind of excelling with my skill set within the industry. And this was back in 2013. And the games industry wasn't really taken seriously yet, so there wasn't many options. Like I couldn't, you know, go to companies that are about now and the speakers we've had today to get support. No one, you know, if you said, oh, I want to, you know, make games, people would laugh at you back then. And literally in 2013, 2014 was the first ever year at the University of Greenwich where they started the games design, games development and design and development, games design and development bachelor course. So in my second year, after my second year of the computer science course, I was able to switch, because they were both digital media. I was able to switch from computing to games design and do another 2 years to finish the bachelor's degree in that. So I went from having, you know, no SATs, no GCSEs, no nothing, no A levels, to a foundation degree in computer science, and then a bachelor's degree in games design development with merit, with a special award for my efforts in business. Because whilst I was at university, we were doing lots of modules which were, you know, creating games or elements of games, really simple stuff back then. but they were fully fledged mobile games that were just going to go on the shelf and never be seen again. And I decided to release those on, again, at the same time, it's very new, but like the Google Play Store and the App Store for Apple and stuff like that. And I created then, back in 2014, Greenlight Games, which is this UK-based company. And I was literally just releasing my coursework on the internet, and people were playing it, and some people were even paying to play it. And you know, before I left university, I was already fully fledged as a business, making some money. So it was pretty amazing stuff. So what I want to quickly just show you is some of the games that we work on now at Greenlight Games, and I'll give you a bit more information about Black Smoke Studios, and I think it's probably it, because I think we've overrun quite a bit. So let me quickly share my screen. Okay, sorry, give me 1 second. I have to give Zoom permission to do it, of course. Okay. Okay, let me try that once more. Can you see my screen by any chance? Or is that working?
Not yet. Dean.
Okay, let me try once more. Okay.
Yes. Says it started.
Sorry again.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
I'm going to mute myself whilst this plays. Hopefully you can hear them. So the first one we've got here is a game called Home Sheep Home. So this is actually, if you know it, this is our game from Shaun the Sheep. So it's licensed by Aardman Animations that make Shaun the Sheep. They make, you know, Wallace and Gromit, some really cool stuff, and Morph, if you remember that. And this is a game that we released for them on PC and Nintendo Switch. And later this year, it's actually coming to PlayStation and Xbox. Cool. Did that work? Did you get sound for that as well? Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so yes, this is Home Sheep Home. You know, it's a great game, and we're currently in talks with Aardman at the moment to see if we can do another title with them, whether or not that's Shaun the Sheep or something different. That'd be really cool. But we started releasing this just before the pandemic, so it's like 2.5 years ago or something like that, roughly. And I can't see my bar because Zoom's in the way. There we go. All right, so another game we've got is Tabletop Racing, which is, if anyone remembers, Micro Machines. It's very similar to that. And again, it's on the Switch, PC, Xbox, PlayStation. So Tabletop Racing, I don't know if you saw that near the beginning, but we actually had, they're just a licensing agreement with Yo Sushi. So we have a track that is a sushi restaurant, like the Yo Sushi restaurant, I think it's just there, which is really cool. So, you know, you drive about around a Yo Sushi like kind of restaurant and around the plates and the fresh food and stuff that they have. That was pretty cool. You know, outside of an IP deal with, you know, a game or a film or a book or something, that was really different because it's like a fast food chain, and that was really cool to have in our game. And there's two more. I'll quickly get through those. So we have Warshmallows, which is similar to a game you may remember called Worms. Worms, built by Team 17, built here in the UK. So we have a similar game that is a bit faster in its gameplay. Okay, and then lastly, I've got a game that we worked on a long time ago now, which was Pocket Shrek. So when Shrek was still quite new, there was a mobile game, kind of like a bit like the kind of Tamagotchi or the pet games you used to get, where you could look after Shrek and Donkey, basically.
Can I stay with you? Oh, that is nasty. Better out than in, I always say.
Yeah, so you know, there's some of the games that we still have on our portfolio now. We've worked with in the past, and yeah, like I say, just very randomly decided to go to university because I wanted to get in the games industry, and these are the kind of games that we've ended up on the portfolio. And just to give you a bit more kind of background onto what I did at uni, basically, like the first game you saw, the Shaun the Sheep game, is what we call a 2D game. You know, in its art, so it's flat, it's hand drawn. The skill set required to build something like that is definitely something you would learn. So for example, me in the university course that I did, you know, I could have left the University of Greenwich after doing 3 years there, and I could have built that kind of game almost on my own, maybe with two or not on my own because I can't draw to save my life. But if I had a friend or two that was creative in that regard, you know, that's kind of skill set you'd walk away with uni from. Same kind of goes for the Warshmallows game, and that's a bit more manic, but it's a 2D game that the hand-drawn assets is not simple, but very much achievable with like 3 to 6 months hard work if you've, you know, doing it full time, for example. And to discuss, you know, a few other people that I went to university with and where they are now and how they got into the industry. So there are 3 people off the top of my head that all did the same course as me. And they took very different routes into the industry. Well, they didn't. They took the same routes into the industry, but now they've ended up in very different places. So as Brandon was saying in the last call, they did the route that I think most people should do anyway, and they started in what we call QA, so quality assurance, which is basically a tester normally. So you would be, you know, you'd go into a role, whether it's kind of like an apprenticeship or some experience or a paid role. And our tutors at the university are actually getting a lot of the students' jobs in these positions within companies within the UK. So you go and test a game, which for some people sounds really exciting, but realistically it could be, you know, kicking a boulder for 12 hours in a game to see if it breaks or does something that the developers haven't expected. Whereas, you know, other days you could be just playing a game beginning to end to see if you find any problems. So it can be quite a grueling job, but it's definitely a very big eye opener into the industry. And then what I believe is that, you know, when you're doing QA and doing testing, you will naturally find what interests you the most within the industry. You know, whether it's the music or the art or the programming or, you know, designing of the levels or the characters, for example, even down to like storytelling and narration, you'll definitely find what it is that you like to do or what you prefer within the games industry. So I have 3 friends that I went to uni with, and they all went into QA, they went into testing in different companies. One of them ended up now, she's a senior, I think she's a senior feature implementator. So she builds features for a company called Unity. Unity is an engine, so like it's a game engine. All the games you just saw were built in Unity. So it's basically a program that we use to create games within. One of the other people that I know went to a company called Sledgehammer Games, and she's now a senior level designer at Sledgehammer Games. So she worked on the last Call of Duty game that come out. And that, you know, I play all the Call of Duty, so seeing someone that I know working on those is a pretty cool thing to have. And then the other person randomly went into animation and recording. So, you know, a lot of the stuff you see in games when characters are moving around, stuff like that, is very similar to what I do in the film industry, where people wear suits or a green suit and they move around and the film, the cameras film them, and then that's projected into the game. So they will act out a character doing something, and then that gets converted into the game. So that's what she does for a living. She will, you know, jump off green boxes and flip through windows and stuff like that. And that will get converted into games. They've worked on some pretty big ones in the past. So it's all really, you know, different ventures you can go into, really cool stuff that you could end up working on that one day makes its way onto a disc or onto someone's home computer, and they're playing it for hours on end. So yeah, really cool industry, really good fun. And it's always nice to see something you've worked tirelessly hours on, and to see it on the shelf or to see it on the TV when it's being advertised, for example. So yeah, that's it from me.
Thank you, Dean. That was amazing. Next time at Argos or anywhere that sell video games, I'll think of you. That was such a cool story. And we've had some really like nice comments in the chat for you. So for example, Sina said, you should be so proud of yourself, Dean. Sadly, the educational path you have shared about is still a reality for so many young people who don't fit the boxes. So yeah, thank you for sharing your story. Conscious of time, so let's see if there's any questions that you guys have. Feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand and ask them directly to both Nishan and Dean, or drop them in the chat, and yeah, and then we'll wrap it up. So yeah, let's see if there's any questions. Lara, I think you raised your hand. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, yes, one question. Always I've seen on the telly, etc., any program, documentary about the game industry or just the games, etc. It always looks to me that the games are targeting or directed or made for a quite young audience. By young audience, I don't mean teenagers, but obviously young, very fast-paced, loud in music or in things, etc. And in my opinion, the industry is missing out quite a lot in all the players, you know, all the people players that, because gaming, it's been proved, etc., it is very good for the brain, you know, so why not continue giving this facility where people keep thinking, keep reacting, exercising reflections, etc. In other words, I think the industry is missing out on all the audiences. What happened in there? Why are you afraid, thinking that they will be scared to try and play? What happened in there?
Thank you, Lara. I think this question might be for Dean. You need to think of a game for slightly older people.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to put in my 2 cents. I think realistically, I guess the older generation, and when it comes to gaming, are harder to target because we wouldn't expect you to have an Xbox or a PlayStation sitting at home. So chances are, in relation to those type of games, it will be a mobile game or potentially like a PC browser game. And browser games, the technology behind browser games has kind of died off now. They don't really support them anymore. But realistically, I think what you're describing is kind of mainstream media. The cost of building a game is pretty insane. Some of the most basic games can start at around £1 million plus. So it's realistically what companies are making sure that they're going to get their return on their investment, and that's what they're trying to do. So, like you say, the younger children are getting the big flashy lights and buy this, buy that, use your mum and dad's credit card kind of thing, and they know they're going to make money from that. Whereas I would find games for the older generation are definitely out there, and they're available probably more on PC and mobile. And there are a lot of like you have the wordplay games, you have the kind of brain training games. Obviously Nintendo, when the Wii first come out, they had a lot of like motion and brain training games. And the 3DS as well. I was a bit young for when that came out, but they're still kind of around. So there definitely are options, but I would say that our target market is definitely, I would say, like 16 to 40 for most games that come out these days.
Understand. I understand your point perfectly. The only thing that I also want to point out, but I understand you and respect you are who knows about it. The only thing I want to point out in here is that when I say older people, I don't mean people from 75 years onwards. I mean older than the very young people who buys these things. Secondly, trust me, I do think older people will do it, because older people doesn't want only, what is there for me? Okay, Sudoku, okay. They also get a little bit bored with this. You see what I mean? And one thing that perhaps put off all the people, no elderly, all the people to buy other stuff, is that they might not feel immediately attracted to them because the target is so much younger. You see what I mean? If perhaps they could see something much more fun, etc., and more suitable for them, they would be open. Listen, older people might spend a lot of money in cars and in houses and in, you see, and in the last bike on the, why not with this? You see what I mean? But I understand and respect that it's you who knows all this, but I just wanted to point it out. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Lara. We really appreciate it. I hope I wish we could see you, but we can see the passion. So I'm not conscious of time, but 2 questions came through the chat. I hope Dean and Nishan, you can stay just a little bit more. So one is from Christophe. So please, Christophe, mute yourself, and then after Christophe Shola, you can unmute yourself, and then we'll wrap it up.
No worries. Thank you so much. I'll be really quick. And yeah, thank you so much. Some really interesting points today. I guess my question is in the chat. So learning whilst gaming, we're seeing a lot more of that going forward. And is that where you think kind of learning new skills is going in the future? Or any thoughts on that from the panel, Nishan or Dean?
Dean, do you want to have a crack? You're probably more the expert area in this.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yes and no, I think would be my answers to that. I think there is more advantages to learning whilst playing if you're learning something quite specific. So I guess stuff like maths, yes, English. I know there are some games that, I mean, this is not particularly new, but there are a few new games coming out that are trying to teach other languages whilst they're playing. But I think that only goes so far, definitely. I know in schools we are now teaching visual programming using tools such as Scratch. So if you have like youngsters at home and you want to get them into programming, there's a free tool called Scratch that is basically drag and drop. So you have what we call if statements. So you can go like, if this happens, for example, a button is pushed or a variable is what we call, if you think of algebra, so-and-so, x equals so-and-so, you know, we call them variables. So if we say x equals 3 because someone's pushed the button 3 times and now x is 3, do this, do that. So those kind of tools are really good. And I think the current generation and the next generation completely have the advantage when it comes to people already in the industry. Now that this is just normal life now. Everyone is using digital media, their phones. You know, the power of a mobile phone now in comparison to like 5-6 years ago is insane. The amount of stuff you can do on them now. So yeah, I think this will come about, and this will be much more kind of normal in schools to sit with a computer and learn from a computer or a whiteboard system. I know that already happens, like the big whiteboards, the electric whiteboards. I think that will become the norm. I would hope that it doesn't become the norm of people using like the virtual reality headsets and learning on those. And I think that's very quite like isolating and not very social. I'd like because it's already, I think like digital media in general is already having an impact in people's social skills. So hopefully we don't go that far, but definitely using the media to your advantage and using those to teach and keeping people more involved and interested. I think there was a really old remote control like car thing. I can't remember. I think it was from a TV show or something, and they brought them back out a couple of years ago where you could physically program commands into it and then push the button and it would drive off and do whatever you've told it to do. So like seeing that come about more and more for the kids to understand how computers work, it's programming, it's low level programming, I think is really good. And I think it will become more of a norm in the education. But yeah, we'll see how far it goes, I guess.
Perfect. Thank you, Dean. Shola, do you want to, and thank you, Nishan, as well. Shola, do you want to unmute yourself just for the really last question? Otherwise, we can.
He kind of answered that, Dean kind of answered that question. But the Scratch game that he mentioned, is that aimed at kids?
Yeah, so Scratch is a children's programming game. So yeah, it definitely is. And there are some really low entry level game engines that they can use. They could step up from Scratch too. I think one's called Game Maker, which is, it's very easy. It's kind of drag and drop where you would, like I said, they'd bring a button onto screen and then link that up to, I don't know, a lever or a lift, for example. You push it and it would react. So there are some really kind of low entry level software out there that's free for children to learn how stuff works in that regard. But
what about that's aimed at adults?
So if I'm honest, Scratch, if you don't know much about kind of developing or programming, Scratch is probably still a good place to start to get a better understanding. And then there are engines out there to learn. And I mean, realistically, without having someone kind of guiding you through it, I don't think kind of programming or game development is something you would want to sit and learn from YouTube, for example. You're better off having someone guide you through it. And there are some free courses out there. There are some paid courses out there. Unity, the engine themselves, do free and paid courses to teach you programming. And basically you would start at a low level, making some really simple stuff, and then proceed to kind of more high-end prototypes or games. But again, if you go into college or into university, you'll be taught programming languages as well. And if you learn a programming language, this all crosses over. So if you know Java or JavaScript from web development, or if you know C# or C++ from application development, they're the same languages that we use in the games industry. You don't have to learn something new in that regard. They're pretty much used the same way. So if there was something in particular that you wanted to look at or learn, I mean, I was taught programming, so I'm very kind of programming heavy when I talk about stuff. But obviously there is 3D design, so you can go into creating 3D assets using a free tool called Blender, or the paid tools like 3ds Max and Maya, and then painting them in like Photoshop or even Microsoft Paint. You can paint them in if you want to, like painting these 3D models and coloring the characters in and stuff like that. So there's lots of stuff out there, and definitely if you wanted more, I'm sure I could list a couple of programs in an email so that Nadia could share that.
Okay, that'd be good. Yeah, that'd be useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Shola, for your question. That's it. Thank you so much, both Dean, Nishan. I'm sorry to everyone that this has run over a little bit. And thank you to Brendan as well, although he's left. And yeah, thank you so much to everyone that registered to attend today. This was the last session, as Evelina said, for this financial year. So we'll take a break. For anyone that is on the call, if you have suggestions on topics that you would really like for us to explore and invite guest speakers to talk about, please feel free to drop me an email, and you will receive the guest presentations, the resources and links that Dean and Nishan mentioned, and Brendan. So don't worry, if you haven't taken notes, you will receive everything into an email. And that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.